Hey guys, welcome to This Is My 2 Cents. I'm Alan, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about, this virus that's going around and all the panic surrounding this virus. This is just my 2 cents, but I think that we should take it seriously, pay close attention to what the medical professionals are telling us. Don't be touching your face a lot and stuff like that. We shouldn't panic because I think there's plenty of toilet paper for everybody. Just like my neighbor Bill said, I look at that. I was listening to my neighbor Bill talk about this girl, how she was panicking over toilet paper, and it's like, apparently he did give her a roll. I'm going to let Bill tell you exactly what happened.
All right, people, shit's getting real. I was outside here a while ago, and this crackhead girl come walking up the driveway here. Walks up, kind of snuck up on me, scared me a little bit. And she told me that she'd give me a blowjob and a donut for a roll of toilet paper. Well, I guess she come off the parkway, I don't know, but when she left, she went right over there between Matt's fence and...
Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is kind of embarrassing, but there's no toilet paper over here.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I just forgot to check, so if you could spare some.
No, I'm sorry.
What?
No, I'm sorry, I can't spare it.
You can't spare it?
No, there's not enough to spare.
Well, I don't need much. Just 3 squares will do it.
I'm sorry, I don't have 3 squares now, if you don't mind.
3 squares? You can't spare 3 squares?
No, I don't have a square to spare. I can't spare a square.
Well, is it 2-ply? Because if it's 2-ply, I'll take 1 ply. 1 ply. 1 puny little ply. I'll take 1 measly ply.
Look, I don't have a square and I don't have a ply. No, I beg you.
So I want to share this video with you guys, and I want you to pay close attention to this because I think this is really fascinating. It's very telling. The first time I watched this video, I bought into it. I'm going to walk you through it right now. Let me just get right into this because well, you tell me what you think about it.
All the patients in this room, all the feet that you see, they all have COVID. The frustrating thing about all of this is it really just feels like it's too little too late. Like we knew it was coming.
I want you to be able to read this. Dr. Colleen Smith gave us a rare insider's view of an outstretched ER in New York City, the epicenter of the county's COVID-19 outbreak. Okay, tell me this. I don't understand right off the bat. What is rare about a view of the ER? I've seen the ER like a million times. I've gone in there, well, not a million times, but I've been in the ER before. And I hardly think it's a rare insider's view. But let's go on.
Today is kind of getting worse and worse. We had to get a refrigerated truck to store the bodies of patients who are dying.
Did you hear what she just said? Remember that. I want you to remember what she just said right there. They had to get a refrigerated truck. And did you see the size of that truck? Did you guys see that? This was a huge truck. And it's supposedly a refrigerated truck for all the bodies. Not to quote Tom Hanks, but, if when he said, what the thing about being known as the nicest guy in Hollywood is nobody looks in my backyard for bodies. So anyway, it's a kind of a joke. But another thing that's disturbing I find about this is that I didn't really notice at first, but if you look at this doctor, note the short hair. And look, she fits the physical description of a left-leaning liberal, she just looks the part of a left-leaning liberal, probably pushes for abortion, and she's probably Roe v. Wade and all of those things. So just look at that, and with that in mind, remember what she just said about the semi-truck for all the bodies.
We are right now scrambling to try to get a few additional ventilators or even CPAP machines. If we could get CPAP machines, we could free up ventilators for patients who need them.
And take note, they are so busy, and it is so hysterical in that ER that she has time to do this interview. That boy, I'll tell you what, hats off to her. There's an American that you salute, because she took time off from all those dying patients that they need a refrigerated semi truck to put all the bodies in, and she took time off to talk to you, the American people, to let you know what's going on at that hospital. Also note that they've got all these people in their scrubs, and they've got their masks on and everything, but they're not really doing much of anything except walking around like, I don't know, it's reminiscent of when I lived in Hollywood and I used to go out to audition for parts, because I used to do that, stand-up comedy, and I go out and I'd audition for parts and stuff, and they would hire people to play extras, and their job was to walk back and forth. So...
Five ventilators. Oh my God.
We now have these 5 vents. We probably, unless people die, I suspect we'll be
what?
back.
Wait a minute, hold on. Did you hear what she just said? I'm going to run that back just a tad here. Listen to this again.
I suspect we'll be back to needing to beg. We now have these 5 vents. We probably, unless people die, I suspect we'll be back to needing to beg for ventilators again.
Unless people die. I thought you just said that you had a semi-truck out back because of all the people dying. What do you mean, unless people die? Unless people die clearly is a statement that people aren't dying. That's a statement that is inconsistent with the prior statement that they had to get a semi-truck for all the people dying. Now she's saying unless people die?
Another day or two. There's a mythical 100 vents out there, which we haven't seen.
And look, again, for to be so busy, where's all the patients? All I see is a bunch of, I don't know, in my mind, it looks like a set, from one of the, when you go onto a movie set or a television set, and they have all these extras just standing around. Although I'm sure they do have extras who are playing the parts of patients.
Leaders in various offices, from the president to the head of health and hospitals, saying things like, we're going to be fine, everything's fine. And from our perspective, everything is not fine. I don't have the support that I need, and even just the materials that I need physically to take care of my patients. And it's America, and we're supposed to be a first world country. On a regular day, my emergency department's volume is pretty high. It's about 200 people a day. Now we're seeing 400 or more people a day. At first, we were trying to isolate patients with cough and fever and be more careful around them, but we weren't necessarily being extra careful around all the other patients. And then we started to realize that patients who were coming in with no fever but abdominal pain actually had findings on their x-rays and chest CTs that were consistent with this coronavirus, COVID-19. So someone in a car accident gets brought in, and we get a CT scan of them, and their lungs look like they have coronavirus. We were seeing a lot of patients.
So someone comes in from a car accident, and they do a CT scan, and their lungs look like coronavirus. This is someone in a car accident. Bear that in mind.
Who probably had COVID, but we didn't realize. 10 residents and also many of our nurses and a few of the attending physicians got sick. The anxiety of this situation is really overwhelming. You know, all of the doctors, it's hard for us to get tested even if we want to, even if we have symptoms.
So the car accident guy you can test him and do a scan to see that the COVID in his lungs and so forth. But the doctors, y'all can't get tested though. Okay, that's not adding up for me either. You know, it's just not adding up for me. And also, if you look at this woman's face, her demeanor, with the semi-truck of death parked outside the hospital, she looks pretty calm and collected to me.
We're exposed over and over again. We don't have the protective equipment that we should have. I put on one N95 mask in the morning. I need to have that N95 mask on for every patient I see. I don't take it off all day. The N95 mask I wore today is also the N95 mask I wore on Friday. We're always worried that we'll be out of N95 masks.
Again, a lot of people standing around in masks, just standing around. So Dr. Smith says that the hospital is adapting as fast as it can, and it set up a tent outside to test mildly sick patients. So again, it's not adding up. She just said that the doctors and the nurses can't even get tested. Well, why don't they just go outside to this tent? I mean, if they got a tent set outside to test people, it doesn't add up that they claim they can't get tested. That just doesn't add up. Why would they not be able to get tested? When they get off duty, they go out to the tent. They get a lunch break, they go out to the tent. They're testing everybody else out there at the tent. This just is not adding up for me, man. You know, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God. But then at the end, it all became like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, now I see. At the end, I'm going to show you something. These fixes haven't minimized the pressure.
What's a little bit scary now is the patients that we're getting are much sicker. Many of the young people who are getting sick don't smoke. They're healthy. They have no comorbidities. They're just young, regular people between the ages of 30 and 50 who you would not expect to.
No, I don't expect. Can you name one? I'd like to know the names of some of these people. In fact, any of you, you know, if you could tell me down in the comment section, any of you who have actually seen or know someone who died from this thing, I'd like for you to let us know down in the comment section in New York, especially in New York, if they are actually panicking like this, if there are actually trucks full of dead bodies. You know, I'd like to know if anybody in the general public, not somebody, you know, no actors, no actresses, nobody associated with the government, you know, just a normal person. If you could let us know in the comment section if you have actually seen evidence of this, because I got to be honest with you, I have more to show you.
Get this sick.
Oh, FEMA. Oh, there we go. There's a trusted source. There, we all love FEMA, right?
So many people are saying it's going to be okay, everything's fine, we have what we need. And if this goes on for a month or 2 or 3 or 5 like it did in China, and we're already this strained, we don't have what we need. I don't really care if I get in trouble for speaking to the media. I want people to know that this is bad. People are dying. We don't have the tools that we need in the emergency department and in the hospital to take care of them.
I don't care if I get in trouble for talking to the media. Well, I mean, if you get in trouble, it probably wouldn't be for talking to the media. It'd probably be for taking off time to talk to the media while all these people are dying. You claiming all these people are dying, but you've taken off quite a bit of time to talk to the media. This has been an all-day project, people. If you go back and replay this video, okay, this woman did not. How is she going to get in trouble for talking to the media when it is obvious that the media was all up in the hospital on different floors This was an all-day project that was approved by the hospital. The media could not have gone into this hospital unless hospital administration approved the media to be all up on the different floors with cameras. Do you know what a camera crew consists? You know, you got a lot of camera equipment. You got the grips, the lights. You got all these people that have to come, you know, to do an interview like this. This is a production right here. You know, to prove that it's a production, watch this.
And it's really hard.
I love how at the end, the producer, the director said, okay, now at the end, give us some raw emotion. Can we get a tear? Can we get a little water? And it's produced, ladies and gentlemen, da-da-da-da-da, by the New York Times. Do I need to say anything else? The New York Times. When I saw that, that's when I realized, oh, I got it now. I get it. It's bullshit. I get it. It's a crock. The New York Times, I don't remember the last time that the New York Times put out something honest. I don't recall the last time that the New York Times told the truth. I mean, it's been so long, but, you know, I mean, notice that at the end, the woman almost sheds a tear, teared up a little bit there. But she says that I don't care if I get in trouble, you know, for talking to the news media. The news media went up in there with cameras, grip, lights, makeup. You don't get to go, look, do you really not know that the hospitals have administrators who have to authorize this kind of stuff? That whole crew, that whole camera crew didn't go up in there and produce. This is a production, people. Look at it. They've even got credits at the end of it. This was not just a woman who called and talked to the news media and gave them a tip over the phone. They came in with a production crew. So the fact that she says, I don't care if I get in trouble, that's disingenuous. She just told you a lie, people. I don't care if I get in trouble. She knows damn well she ain't gonna get in trouble because the hospital gave permission for all of this. You know, and it should irritate and it should insult your intelligence. I mean, if you're an intelligent human being, your intelligence has just been insulted. And you should be upset about that. But anyway, there's that, and I'm gonna leave that right there with you guys. And I got this next thing I want to show you guys. So take a look at this thing. Now, I'm not going to show you the whole thing here, but I would like for you to pay attention to this and go check this out. I will leave if I remember to do it. I will leave because I'm new. I haven't been doing this long, so there are some things that I have to get used to, and I have to. I'm on a learning curve right now, so work with me. But if I remember, I'm going to put a link to this, and I highly recommend that you go look at the Ron Paul Liberty Report. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I do want you to hear some of this.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the weekly report. The coronavirus hoax. Governments love crises because when the people are fearful, they are more willing to give up freedoms for promises that the government will take care of them. After 9/11, for example, Americans accepted the near total destruction of their civil liberties in the Patriot Act's hollow promises of security. It is ironic to see the same Democrats who tried to impeach President Trump last month for abuse of power demanding that the administration grab more power and authority in the name of fighting a virus that thus far has killed less than 100 Americans. Declaring a pandemic emergency on Friday, President Trump now claims the power to quarantine individuals suspected of being infected by the virus and, as Politico writes, stop and seize any plane, train, or automobile to stymie the spread of contagious disease. He can even call out the military to cordon off a U.S. city or state. State and local authoritarians love panic as well. The mayor of Champaign, Illinois, signed an executive order declaring the power to ban the sale of guns and alcohol and cut off gas, water, or electricity to any citizen. The governor of Ohio just essentially closed his entire state.
Now, Ron Paul makes good points here. about how these calamities come, and the government uses these calamities to take away many of our guaranteed constitutional rights. However, one thing that Ron Paul doesn't seem to be taking into consideration in this particular instance is the bad guys that are being taken down, and the possibility that in this particular case, this virus is being used to stop, as he says, quarantine people, stop them from traveling, and so on and so forth. Ron Paul doesn't seem to either realize or know that quite possibly a lot of people do believe, and especially followers of 17, that 17th letter in the alphabet, people who follow that whole movement are aware and awoke to the plan to take out very despicable, heinous people. And so the restriction in travel is so that these people can't scurry and run and hide like rats. And see, so Ron Paul either is not taking that into account, he doesn't know about the plan, or I don't know what the situation there is. But I do highly recommend that you go and check out Ron Paul Liberty Report, because he does make a lot of he goes on to make some very valid points and raise some very legitimate concerns that I think we do need to consider and take a look at. Because I'm of the philosophy that, we need to consider and factor in every possible, every possible outcome, every factor involved in a circumstance needs to be considered in order to make an intelligent decision or arrive at an intelligent conclusion. You must consider all of the variables, and so that's I'm of that opinion. So I consider what Ron Paul says. I don't think in this particular case Ron Paul is taking into consideration the other things. So keep that in mind. I have something else that I want to show you guys. Now, we just watched Ron Paul and his take on this. He called it, Ron Paul comes straight out and calls it a hoax, the virus hoax. I find it very interesting that everywhere in the world, and I want to share this with you guys, because I think this is very interesting and very telling that all around the world, people are, being required to, there's been travel bans, people are required to shelter in place, stay in your homes and this and that, all over the world, except one place. And I'm going to share that with you right now because I find this to be fascinating, and it supports, well, my belief that the whole hospital thing with the little feminist nurse, the liberal left-leaning nurse, claiming that there's a big truck out there for dead bodies, and then saying if someone dies, or and then Ron Paul saying that this is a hoax, this would support that that camp of belief. So just check this out, because there's one country that ain't having none of it.
Milan, New York, New Delhi, Madrid, just a few of the many global cities that are shut down to prevent the coronavirus pandemic. And then there's Mexico City. Here, off the bustling Paseo de la Reforma, there's an unsettling sense of normalcy.
Todos los demás países están en crisis, están en problemas muy cañones, y nuestro presidente está como, tranquilos, ahorita se arregla.
So this guy
Somos
says,
México, no pasa nada.
This guy says there's supposed to be some, this all this stuff going on. And he says, relax, he says we're Mexico, nothing happens.
Nada.
That's what he says.
Flight attendants newly arrived from the United States walk around carefree.
I think on the one hand it's refreshing for us because we're coming from a place that's taking extreme precautions. We are like on a petri dish most of the time, so I might already be exposed. More likely on the plane than probably here, so.
O sea, yo no estoy ni espantado ni nada, o sea, porque digo, pues,
¿qué puede hacer?
¿Qué puedo hacer? O sea, si ya me pega, pues ya me pegó, ¿no?
Mexico has documented 4 deaths from COVID-19. One man died after attending a large music concert. Doctors say the virus is already spreading in the community.
We don't have tests, so we are having low numbers of patients that are infected.
Dr. Francisco Moreno oversees 9 COVID patients at Mexico City's ABC hospital. He's self-isolating, so I interviewed him remotely.
Do you think Mexico could be as bad as Italy?
You have all the facts to know that this is gonna be as bad as Italy or worse. There's a lot of informal workers. They work in the streets. You will need a very severe response from the government to lock down those kind of workers.
But Mexico's president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, has continued to say there's no cause for alarm and resist the measures other countries have taken to slow the virus's spread.
Now, I gotta be honest, I'm sorry to interrupt here real quick, but I gotta be honest. I like this guy. I like this Obrador Lopez, whatever his name is, this new president of Mexico. And here's why. I'm not even going to say why. Watch this guy. This guy's a rock star in my book.
This was his message in early March.
Lo del coronavirus, eso de que no se puede uno abrazar. Hay que abrazarse.
You have to hug.
No pasa nada.
Nothing happens.
López Obrador, also known as AMLO, has continued to hold political rallies around
AMLO.
Mexico.
Watch out, J-Lo. Did you see the crowd?
Shaking hands and hugging admirers. Other government officials may encourage social distancing, but he asked people to go out and spend their pesos.
No debe de caerse en el miedo, en la psicosis.
The fear,
no hay falta de recursos. Los espacios, las camas suficientes en centros de salud, en hospitales.
But according to a recent OECD report, Mexico has fewer nurses and fewer intensive care beds per capita than Italy, South Korea, and the U.S. A count of ventilators.
I don't know who produced this, but there seems to be a little fear-mongering going on with this production right here because they show this guy, he's a rock star, he's out there, the people are in the crowds and they're hugging each other and they're, fist bumping and shaking hands and, Then they show an empty hospital bed. They start talking about, President Obrador, but the hospitals are, and then they show the hospitals, and again, a bunch of people just standing around. Looking worried. Like extras in a movie.
In state facilities revealed only about 2,050 machines in the entire country.
I'm working in the hospital trying to figure out how the hospital is going to be getting to the next weeks, because we know that the explosion of cases is going to be next weeks.
How do you know
International leaders have criticized López Obrador's response to the crisis as irresponsible. The president of El Salvador even begged Mexico, via Twitter, to take more drastic measures so as not to become the next epicenter of the pandemic.
Y aquí como que el presidente AMLO como que no pone mucha atención, eso va a seguirse propagando, va a seguir creciendo.
It's going to keep increasing. See, he's believing the media, this kid. And there again, look at that. And look who it's put out by.
Milan, New York.
Look who it's put out by, folks. Once again.
No pone mucha atención, eso va a seguirse propagando, va a seguir creciendo.
And right there, that says it all right there, folks. Once again, our friends at the New York Times putting out propaganda. It's a crock, but it does show us one thing, that in this crazy world, there are people who are not buying into and not giving into this fear-mongering. Because quite frankly, from the first New York Times piece, where the woman's clearly lying, and then you've got this. So I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I'm going to wrap this up. But I just wanted to share this with you guys because there is a lot of fear-mongering going on, and I just think that people need to really just calm down, because I don't, quite frankly, believe patriots know that there is something else going on right now involving a lot of bad people. And I think that this whole thing was concocted in order that certain bad people might take advantage of the fear-mongering in order to ruin Donald Trump, so that it would ruin his chances of election. What they're trying to do is bring down the economy and ruin the economy, because they know that the economy is about to crash anyway, because our economy has been based on a big Ponzi scheme. It's one big Ponzi scheme based on debt. Okay, it's all based on debt. You know, we've been printing money, you know, out of thin air, and you know, the economy. Every time, if you notice, your wages go up, but then prices go up. So you never really get a chance to get too far ahead if you're just the average Joe. You know, you're always going to remain at a certain level because as your pay goes up, so does the cost of living. So this economy has been based on one big ball of lies. And so Trump is destroying that. And, you know, let me recommend to you, there's a guy named Dave, and he does he's got a YouTube channel called the X22 Report. And I highly recommend that you check Dave out at the X22 Report, because Dave not only tells you what's going on, you know, with the Patriot battle and this fight that's going on, but he also, I don't know anyone else who better explains what's going on with the economy. Because there's not only this fight with the bad guys in terms of the things they're doing, you know, to the young kids, you know, the children, but there's this other battle with the economy, because the same people who control all of the money in the world are the same people who are engaged in these, these atrocities. You know, I don't have time to go into all of that right now, but I want to keep the focus on this this virus thing. Okay, guys, I'm gonna play this last clip here, and I'm gonna leave it right here, because my whole point here is that, as you know, we've been lied to. We've been lied to by our government from, I don't know, probably from the time that we had government. They've been lying to us. I don't know, but I do know that in recent history, at least since John F. Kennedy, our government has lied to us. They lied to us about what happened to him, and they're still lying to us to this day. And I'm just gonna play this because now, and I'm in hopes that, you know, our current president is trying to clean this up so that, you know, we will know the truth, and that finally, you know, all of these disgusting and vile things that have been happening to us and all these lies that we've been told over the years will finally come to light under this president. I'm hoping for that. At the same time, you know, I'm also cautious. I'm cautiously hoping, because I do know that there's only one Savior, and his name is not Donald Trump. His name is Yeshua. Christ Jesus is his name. And so I'm optimistically hopeful that Donald Trump is what he says he is, and that he is, you know, I do have some concerns about him, and I'm going to do another video about that, because my concerns are on a spiritual level, not so much on the physical, but in, you know, on the spiritual level. And so I'll do another video addressing that. But for right now, I want to leave you guys with this, knowing that we've been lied to the way we have. Right now, they're saying that we've got this big virus and that they want everybody to get, you know, a shot, right? I'm telling you, in my opinion, you know, and this is just my 2 cents, but, you know, if you want to know my 2 cents about this, I say don't take no shot. I say I'm not going to take a shot. And that's just my 2 cents. I can't tell you what to do. I can't even advise you what to do, but I'm not taking no shot. They're not sticking nothing in my body, and that's just my decision.
Remember the swine flu scare of 1976?
He's talking about the swine flu scare of 1976. Now, this is a guy right here named Mike Wallace. Now, Mike Wallace was actually in my opinion, a very good reporter from back in the 70s, 80s, back during that era. Well, his son is a piece of crap named Chris Wallace, who is, he's a despicable, horrible person, his son. Mike Wallace, I do not understand how Chris Wallace came from Mike Wallace's gene pool. I just don't understand that. But this is Mike Wallace talking about, well, I'll let you guys check it out.
That was the year the U.S. government told us all that swine flu could turn out to be a killer, that could spread across the nation. And Washington decided that every man, woman, and child in the nation should get a shot to prevent a nationwide outbreak, a pandemic. Well, 46 million of us obediently took the shot. And now 4,000 Americans are claiming damages from Uncle Sam amounting to $3.5 billion because of what happened when they took that shot. By far the greatest number of the claims, 2/3 of them, are for neurological damage or even death, allegedly triggered by the flu shot.
Wow. Do you see that? And this this clip right here I got off of a channel called, it looks like R-Tech, I don't know. But I recommend that you go to this channel because they've got a lot of good stuff on there. So I do highly recommend those guys. As quickly as I can, I want to recommend this channel right here. This lady's name is Amazing. Her channel is Amazing Polly. And I want to recommend, I didn't really, at first, when I first saw Amazing Polly, I wasn't a big fan. But I watched a couple more of her videos. And sure enough, she turned out to be someone who goes down some real deep rabbit holes and comes up with some big, gigantic carrots. I mean, she digs and she finds stuff. And so I wanted to share this with you guys because while I'm on the subject of the whole, virus and all that crap, this is what she dug up. And I was gonna upload my video. I was really all done with it. And then I saw this and I was like, oh, well, I have to turn people on to this. I'm not going to play the whole video because I don't want to step on her toes. But I do recommend that you guys find her channel. It's called Amazing Polly. And let me see. I think it's, let's see. Have a look here. Right there is the name of her channel. Right there. Amazing Polly. I do highly recommend that you go over there and look and check her out. This is what she brings to the table on the topic that I was talking about. It's one little thing. You'll have to go look at her video to see all of it, but I did want to play this because I think it's very relevant, very important, pertaining to what I have been talking to you guys about.
Listen to what I'm about to present and ask yourself, how could this possibly happen? And most importantly, should anyone trust these people? Okay. First thing we're going to look at is some clips from this excellent 13-minute mini documentary on Tedros Adhanom, the leader of the World Health Organization. It's by John Martin, and I will link to this in the description box. There is so much in this little video, but I'm only going to take a few minutes because I only want to concentrate on the things that Tedros Adhanom did while he was head of Ethiopia's Ministry of Health. It's just mind-boggling, even this little bit, but there's so much more. All right, here you go, a couple minutes for you.
Tedros, as well as being the first World Health Organization director without a medical degree, also has somewhat of a political background. On his online biography, you can see that he was the Ethiopian health minister from 2002 to 2012. Tedros also happens to be a member of the Tigray People's Liberation Front. It was founded as a communist revolutionary party that came to power in 1991. The Tigray represent only 6% of the population of Ethiopia. One of the major ethnic groups are the Amhara. The TPLF 1968 manifesto declared the Amhara people to be their eternal enemy. And Tedros himself hails from the Tigray region and was a senior member of the party when it came to power. Just how senior was he? Well, this Ethiopian newspaper lists him as the third most important member of the Politburo, which gives the impression he was slightly more important than just a medical administrator. The TPLF was listed as a terrorist organization by the US government in the 90s. Great. And it's still listed as a terrorist organization in the global terror database. Wow. Because it has this unfortunate habit of carrying out armed assaults in rural areas. The Amhara people under the new government have reported systematic discrimination and human rights abuses. Human Rights Watch in 2010 wrote about how aid in the form of food and fertilizer was being withheld from Amhara villages if they had associations with the opposition party. Other forms of aid denial involved refusing emergency health care to children, which was carried out by the same ministry at the time led by Tedros Adhanom, current director of the WHO. The Amhara People's Union, an activist group based in Washington, issued many other accusations of human rights abuses against the TPLF, including noting that during this time, birth rates in the Amhara region was lower than every other region, and that around 2 million Amhara simply disappeared from the population census, which was admitted in Parliament in this video. But not content with denying aid to political dissidents, Tedros also spent a lot of his time as health minister covering up epidemics in Ethiopia. There was a cholera outbreak that spread through the region in 2007, which infected thousands of people in neighboring countries in East Africa. But when it spread to Ethiopia, the Ministry of Health tactic was to rename the disease AWD, acute watery diarrhea, instead, meaning that on paper, all the neighboring countries had cholera epidemics, but Ethiopia didn't.
Wow.
International organizations were pressured not to call it cholera, even though the UN tested it themselves and found cholera, and were told not to reveal the real number of infected. Another stunning victory for the health minister.
Wow.
Also, the deadly famine that struck Ethiopia in the 1980s, which it's still associated with, is not entirely a thing of the past. The WHO itself, in its reports, after pages and pages of gushing reviews on how great Ethiopia's health sector is, admitted in 2016 that at least 8.6 million people in rural Ethiopia still needed food aid to survive, and said that the situation had barely improved for 4 years, so that after the end of Tedros' illustrious term as health minister, he could boast a mere 8% of the population that would starve to death without foreign aid.
Wow.
And so, after these shining accomplishments in health, Tedros moved on to bigger and better things.
Did your jaw fall on the floor? He's practically a genocider. There's so much in there I can't recall. I'm exhausted. I can't recall. But the part about their fertility rates in that one area, I wonder what that was about. Were they...
See, and here's my point with this, is this guy's a monster. This guy's a monster. Now, I'm coming to the part that's relevant, and a lot of you people, even though your jaw may not have hit the floor with that, your jaw might hit the floor when you see this part, because what she's about to say next is what really blew me away, and brought me to the point where it's like, okay, I have to share this piece of information here because everybody's seen this guy lately. Watch this.
Perhaps giving them vaccines in that one area? The fact that he basically let them starve to death? The fact that he canceled programs for children's health? I mean, what kind of a man does this stuff? He was a Marxist revolutionary. Did you hear that off the top?
Yep.
He was in an organization that is a listed terror organization. Bearing all that in mind, how did he become head of the World Health Organization? Can you understand how broken a system must be, how corrupt to the core a system must be to put that man in charge of the World Health Organization?
Yes, ma'am.
And now there he is at this moment in history for the pandemic.
Yes, ma'am.
How can this be happening to us?
Well,
I know how.
Oh, okay.
I know how.
Well, okay.
It's been a very, very long, perhaps 100-year plan to subvert important positions and to carry through with a revolution that they started a long time ago.
A long time ago.
So,
see, that's exactly what I was just getting ready to say when she said that. I was just getting ready to say those exact words.
That's one thing. Tedros Adhanom, you've just seen a little bit of how bad this guy is. And I strongly encourage you to go watch the rest of that documentary about Tedros Adhanom. 13 minutes of your life. Please go watch it. The guy's got all the sources in the description box below.
Say no more. I'm there. Now.
You've seen how bad he is.
Okay, now, give it to him.
Now, listen to Dr. Anthony Fauci, head of the Coronavirus Task Force.
Watch this.
Listen to him talking about Tedros Adhanom.
Tedros.
Do you all recognize this guy? Do you all recognize this little weasel? Listen to what he says about this monster that she just showed.
This is really an outstanding person. I've known him from the time that he was the Minister of Health of Ethiopia. I mean, obviously, over the years, anyone who says that the WHO has not had problems has not been watching the WHO. But I think under his leadership, they've done very well. He has been all over this. I was on the phone with him a few hours ago, leading a WHO call.
There's nothing funny about it.
I'm not talking about China. You asked me about Tedros.
World Health Organization praising China for its transparency and leadership on their response to the pandemic?
You know, I can't comment on that because, I mean, I don't have any viewpoint into it. I mean, I don't even know what your question is.
Wow.
He's an outstanding guy.
Yeah.
He's wonderful. He's good. He likes him. Dr. Fauci respects Tedros Adhanom.
Okay, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I don't want to, again, like I say, I don't want to step on Amazing Polly's toes. I do advise you guys to get on over to her channel and check out some of her videos because she does go down some rabbit holes. I mean, really, I was just amazed to see that little weasel, you know. But again, it makes sense, you know, because the swamp is so deep that, you know, you've got all these worms under all these rocks, man, and it's like Trump just lifting up the rocks and he's exposing the worms, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's amazing. But get on over there to Amazing Polly's channel, check her out, and check out Dave at X22 Report. It's just amazing stuff. So I just wanted to share that with you guys before, you know, in this video rather than put it in another video, which, again, the reason why I had to do this was because I was done with this video. I was getting ready to upload it. Then I saw this and I was like, oh, well, I've got to put that in there. So I hope this was informative. I hope you guys liked it. Click like, subscribe. Love you guys. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves, man.